California Highway 46, heading for San Simeon.
Hearst Corporation deeded approximately 100 acres of land and the buildings to the California Department of Parks and Recreation in 1957 to be maintained as a historical monument for the public to enjoy.
Yeah, we got 7 together.
My name is Joe, and I'm living together for 75 minutes. We're going to the coast of Landy, and have you been here? And have you folks? First time because we haven't a lot. And this was really his dream home. He waited so long to build here because his mother would live until 1990, and he didn't have the first fortune of his life until his mother died. This one is Casa del Mar, Casa del Sol, and then Casa del Mountain. So mountain, sun, and sea. And they all have views of those areas. So it was named for the view. Hundreds of citrus trees, and of course the flowers were so important. So you have lilies planted here, and roses were very decorated. There are 24 guest bedrooms, and this is one. And each of the bedrooms has a private bath. That's the bathroom through that door. And then the closets were set on the outside so the maids could care for your clothing. And this was sort of an inner apartment, and you did share the sitting room. We'll be there in a minute. But this, of course, was completely private. And you did have a sitting area, even outside your own room. The art is mostly Renaissance and Gothic, and the ceilings are all antique ceilings. There are 55 of these Spanish and Italian ceilings. The architect used everything possible of his collection, like fireplace mantels, sacristy doors. You enjoy the outside. This is the sitting room that you did share with the guests in the other bedroom. And this is a mezzanine floor, so it's 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a sitting room and a deck. And it's just over the billiard room and the morning room, so it's a partial floor. But here you have one of the more interesting ceilings, a beautiful painting of the Annunciation. An unusual modern piece. This is a René Lalique bottle, dated and signed by the artist 1923. And then in contrast, this little figure here is Egyptian and dates 3rd century BC. Telephones in every room, even outside, and from this really isolated part of California, you reached any part of the world with telephone service. So consequently, he was able to do his work from this hilltop. And he usually, in the 1850s, he would become a very successful miner. Silver, gold, copper is the foundation of this family as well. Today it's invested in the media. And of course it was this man, William Randolph Hearst, that began it with his newspaper.
What were these rooms? Were these his?
These were guest rooms too.
Guest rooms also.
No, really. Okay. And we're on the 2nd floor. And there are 24 guest bedrooms, and most of them are on this 2nd floor. And look out the view too, because you get an idea of why he wanted to build here so tall. He loved the views. Yeah. That's a deep water bay down there, and everything was brought in by ship. and stored in the warehouses down there. And then to your left, way over to your left, is a mountain covered with pine trees. And that's Reservoir Hill, where the water is reservoir coming from the artesian. A member of our curatorial staff doing some dusting. And you can imagine the care these books take. So, the library just for guests. Can you imagine? Huge Persian rugs. Most of them have been collected by his mother at an earlier date. His mother also was a collector, and loved it. I mean, he had over 100 ecclesiastical textiles, and these, of course, are Chasubles vestments on this wall too. In this room, I think there's 11 saints and processional pieces. Probably the most interesting thing is the ceiling. This, however, was her clock, Art Deco. They left here, together in 1947. So lots of fireplaces.
What's beyond the wall?
Beyond there is like an office, private area. He traditionally was up here most of the day.
Right.
And working in that back room on his empire, meeting with editors and publishers here on working vacations. So he was very much a workaholic. That's what he looked like when he was 30 years old, by the way. Painted by a lifelong friend, and that was painted in 1893. The table in front of us, the long table, was actually used as a board table, and it was traditional that after the nightly movie, why he and his editors and publishers would come up here with multiple telephone lines, put the papers to bed across the country. And he was a man that never really, I think, had a true vacation, because wherever he went, his business went with him. And it wasn't until his time when he had that financial difficulty that leadership was taken away from him, and the business of gallon Monel tanks. So all the water for the hilltop is stored above these towers. Okay. And above those are the bells. Each tower has 18 carillon bells that traditionally he had played in the morning. And, this is supposed to be there.
It is?
This is an insect.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
They're not supposed to be that visible, I guess. I was wondering, what's sticky on this? Anyway, here you have 3 balconies for 3 different views, beautiful views. And then every room had its name, so you were assigned to different areas. Cary Grant said he was here at least 40 times, so he was probably in about every room. He had understanding with the housekeeper that he had a different room each time he came. And some of the guests did like certain areas. David Niven, who was another frequent guest, always liked the little guest house, the smallest guest house, so he stayed there time and time again. You could write letters home. There was so much to do besides writing and tennis and swimming. His yacht was always moored down at the harbor on wheels and about 50 feet away at the time. So it's quite a distance. This is the china that was always used. His mother had bought it in 1912. A few years before she passed on, she had bought a service for him. And so we called the ranch china. He actually owned Napoleon solid gold china, and but this was, he loved his mother, and I think that's the reason he used it, because it just doesn't look like ranch china. Yeah. But if any of you are old television fans, there was another famous ranch that used this china. Yeah. They made all their own bread. So this was a hilltop where everything was here. This was the only kitchen. This shows off the uniforms and also where the secretary usually ate. He always had a male secretary with Colonel Joe was his name. And then this little table here is where the
Back to bed.
There you have Hearst Castle. Half an hour after I completed that tour, I videotaped, took another tour of the gardens and guest houses. Did not get the video camera along on that tour. But altogether, spent over 4 hours here at Hearst Castle this afternoon. We now got a 41-mile drive into San Luis Obispo, where we're spending the evening.